Welcome back. Welcome back to the Success Breakthrough series. I am Celiu, your host for this series, where we dive deep into the journey of how ordinary people become extraordinary by turning their dreams into reality. This series is to inspire you to dream big and overcome obstacles by embracing a mindset shift, a paradigm shift that can help you break through to your own success. Through our conversations, we will explore how perseverance, mentorship, and a strong support system can help anyone rise above challenges and achieve greatness. Today, it is my honor to introduce you Hanna. Hanna helps progressive activists and nonprofit professionals, whether you are in environmental, peace, and social justice, and help them overcome their procrastination, burnout, and frustration so they can rediscover their motivations and take impactful action by tackling their inner challenges like lack of clarity, despair, and waning confidence. Her clients achieve breakthrough that leads to tangible progress in their work and life. Through one-on-one coaching or group session, she creates a supportive space for growth, transformations, and sustainable results for her client. Her mission is to equip the changemakers with the tool, clarity, and renewed purpose they need to amplify their impact. Together, they turn overwhelm into focused action and passions into lasting change. Thank you, Hanna, for coming for this interview series. I am so excited to have you.
Thank you so much, C. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for inviting me. Really, just thank you.
Now, Hanna, can you tell us about your journey and what led you to become a coach for purpose-driven change makers?
Right. Well, see, it's somewhat of a long story because what happened was I came here from Indonesia and basically I learned a lot of different things. I enjoyed life. I liked having a lot of the fun but I was not really aware of a lot of the problems associated with the environment or all the other social justice issues. So what happened was on September 11th, 2001, like most people, I was watching the World Trade Towers fall down. But what really struck me at that moment was when I saw all those papers just floating down and becoming trash. And I knew that, just moments before, those papers were so important. People were probably, having all these meetings around those papers. But that particular moment, like, made me question my own purpose. Like, what was I doing here? I mean, if life could end in a second, what can I do? What was my purpose? And so that was the moment that I really felt I felt I needed to change things around with my life. And that's when I became involved with activism. But activism is also, it can be a heavy burden to carry. I'm sure that a lot of people who are activists or who are in the nonprofit field, first of all, there's not a lot of funding, and then there's not a lot of, you don't necessarily see progress immediately. So for people like that, and for me at that time, it was I was at first I was really enthusiastic and I wanted, to do all the protests and all these different things. But it also, going to all these protests, going to, countless meetings, whatever, and then not seeing progress was for me very discouraging, and then I had my husband who would say, so what's the point? Why are you working so hard and you're not seeing any progress? Just enjoy life, and for me that I couldn't square those two things, because yes, there's one part, of course, I want to enjoy life. And at the same time, I also was aware of all these horrific things that are happening all over the world, as well as in the United States. So trying to find a way to bridge the two worlds was difficult. Also, it ended up making me feel very lost and very despondent, because it's like not seeing progress, and also saying, well, if I don't see progress, is my effort really worth it? So, and I'm seeing that with a lot of change makers. Well, because I saw that with myself, I also see that in a lot of change makers today. So that's why I decided to focus my coaching on helping these change makers.
I totally agree. I would say even 15 years ago, if I go to the Indigo bookstore, I go to somewhere else and we see these change maker are trying to protest, are trying to do a peacekeeping protest. They're trying to make a better change. But for regular people, it's like, you know what? You are in my way. Move away, right? Or it's like a lot of people, they probably say, don't you guys have better things to do than standing here and protest? Come on. Like, I would say these change makers, they don't really get a lot of appreciation. And they were
Right.
standing out there, snowing, raining, tornado, sunny, hot. They are standing right there, trying to make a change for the next generation, a better change.
Right. And like you said, this whole concept of trying and trying and trying and then not getting the results is difficult. Plus, because people try so hard, they also become somewhat bitter, because you're like, oh, I'm trying and nobody listens. So there's a lot of frustration. And when there's so much frustration, you're not the most fun person at a Christmas party, right? You come to a Christmas party and, well, you look at it and you're like, oh, instead of seeing the joy of all the Christmas presents, you're thinking, oh no, all these things are going to be in landfill soon. So this is being the Debbie Downer is not exactly, you're not going to be invited to a lot of parties at this rate.
Right. Or all the food on the table, right? But we can feed a child in Africa without
Right.
being hungry for the night.
Right. And to be honest with you, sometimes I remember doing, because I was always upset about the injustices in the world, but I also found it very much of a disconnect, right? When you try to have a fundraiser and you're having food, but you're having food to help people who are hungry someplace else. So you're like, wow, this is really just strange, just a strange disconnect right there.
Right. I can feel the frustrations. Now, Hannah, how I want to get more understanding into how frustrated and how burnout this change maker can be based on your personal experience. Because you know that burnout and frustration is part of the good work that this change maker are making.
Right.
So how did you shape that approach to your coaching?
Well, one of the things that really for me was very important was I realized that, the message in a lot of activism is, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. And so that meant I was angry all the time because I was outraged at every single thing, whether it's, birds eating plastic or the icebergs, anyway, countless things. But that's not sustainable. continually being angry means you burn out and you just cannot handle all this, all these sad news. But in my case, for instance, I ended up pulling away from these things a lot of times. That I would be so overwhelmed with it that I couldn't stay in it. And so to me, one of the things that I've learned through coaching was that one of the things is you really need to, first of all, breathe, calm down. And one of the things that you can do to calm yourself down is a technique called tapping. So, and you don't have to do like the entire tapping session, but just, you could just tap like underneath your collarbones a couple of times, because tapping can calm you down. And then once you're a little bit calmer, you can maybe focus on, okay, so what is something that I can do? Because you can't do everything. That is one of the other things you have to learn, right? You would like to, but you can't. And so accepting that you cannot do everything, but try to see, once you're calm, what can I do? And once you figure out what you can do, try to say, okay, let me see, can I take that? Is that too big of an action, or can I make it into smaller steps? Can I take it, break it down and into smaller steps? So the first thing I would say is, you recognize that as a change maker, that you've burned out, is when you realize that you physically feel unwell, right? But you have headaches, you just don't feel like dealing with things, you end up procrastinating on all kinds of tasks, but also you become very cynical. And I've realized that I've gone through that cycle a lot of times, where I've become like this idea of like, okay, you know what, I can't do anything anyway, so let me just give up. And that's where you just don't want to get to that point. You want to see if you can perhaps, calm down first and see, first of all, okay, what can I do? Calm down first and then say, okay, if there is something I can do, I'll do that. But if it's too big, let me see if I can maybe get other people involved, or, just see what it is that is within my ability to do, to act on.
Mm. So you talk about doing tapping.
I do.
So just curious, if my audience say, okay, tapping. So and it is right. It is so true that Hannah is like, if I am a change maker, I have to be angry all the time, right? I can't stand out there and protest and be happy. I have to be angry to send out the energy of, this is not right. This is not fair. We need to make change now.
Right.
So yeah, when you talk about, I'm like, yeah, that's right. This change maker must be angry all the time. And Christmas is coming. That's right. Who want to be with angry people? Now,
right.
How can we reset our angry? I am angry, I'm protest, but then in a few hours, I am going for my Christmas dinner. Okay, I need to be happy. How do I change that? Shift that vibration in me. You talk about tapping. So do you want to show us? We can follow you on a few, maybe 30 seconds, that you can show our audience how to do it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily do the whole thing, but I would simply, you could simply just tap underneath your, let me see, underneath your collarbone, and you could just tap underneath your collarbone like this. And you could say, you could, if you want to, you could express your frustration. You could say, I'm so angry. I can't believe it. I am just really, really just upset. Nobody cares. And you could just keep tapping on that, and you could say something like, and since nobody cares, what's the point? Do I really want to continue? And then on top of everything else, we could say, if you want to, you could do, I would continue here, but if you wanted to, you could also tap around your eyebrow points like here. And you could say something like, well, I'm going to see my family. I would like to be able to enjoy my dinner with them without, getting all upset. And then you could do at the side of your eyes. And then you could keep tapping and you could say something like, things like, okay, since since I'm going to have to be with them, can I really, do I really want to show up angry, or do I want to just enjoy spending time with them? And then you could simply do underneath your eyes right here. And you could say something like, well, I mean, my mom is getting older, my dad is getting older. I'm not sure if I'm going to have that much time. And really, right now, at this moment, perhaps it's better for me to just see if I can enjoy my time with them. I can be angry tomorrow, something like along those lines. And then you could continue tapping, and you could say anything you want, or you could simply be silent and just continue, just keep doing this, because tapping apparently has been proven to be very effective even for people who have post-traumatic stress disorders. So they've done a lot of studies where it's become, very effective for people who have these PTSD issues. And, it can calm them down. Once you're in a calmer state, you can see, okay, from here, where do I want to go from here? What can I do? And again, it is acknowledging your own abilities and your own boundaries. If I can just see at this particular time, you're right, it is difficult to just switch from being angry to going into dinner and, not saying anything. But again, thinking, okay, at this time, what do I want to do at this particular moment? Because if I'm angry at the dinner table, that's not going to be helpful for anyone, especially me.
Wow. Okay. I really like this tapping because it's so simple and we can do it anytime, anywhere,
Right,
right?
right.
And
Yeah.
like you say, this research showing that it is proven. So for my
Mm-hmm.
audience who never heard tapping before, would you mind to say
Mm-hmm.
what tapping do? When I do this on my collarbone, when I do this on
Mm-hmm.
my eyebrow, on my eye, what do
Mm-hmm.
they do? How do they work
Ba-
with calming me?
yeah. Basically, you're supposed to be tapping on acupressure points. So it's pressure. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but it works. At least for me, it works, and it's worked for a lot of other people. So try it. It's a simple technique that may be able to, calm you down for just a little bit.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Because I did read research before. They did say tapping worked on the meridian point, like the acupuncture point, where it helped to reset your nervous system, right? To calm you down.
Right,
Wow.
right.
And I also know that you are an NLP expert. So in your coaching, how do you combine NLP and tapping into helping change maker to be more focused? Because change maker, they don't have a lot of budget. They probably have to do everything. And sometimes they can get very overwhelmed. It's like, I don't even know what to start. Where do I start? So can you give me a brief explanations? If your client come to you and say, Hannah, I am stressed. I am angry. I'm burnout. I'm frustrated. How do you bring them through?
First, I would ask them to just take a deep breath and calm and see if they can simply, you know, connect with themselves. Because, like you said, there are so many overwhelming problems, and sometimes you just can't handle them all. So, first, really, really center yourself. So, I would say, okay, first, let's take a deep breath, and then we'll try to figure out what is it that you really want to do, because what is the most important thing for you? Because yes, you want to help save the world or save the planet or all these different things, but first let's figure out what is most important to you right now at this moment. Let's see if we can first get clarity on that, because sometimes you do have, for your own for your own health or for your own self-care, you do need to step back, but let's figure out first, let's get your clarity. Let's figure out, is this really what you want? And if so, if this is what you want, what can we do to make it a little bit less overwhelming for you? Again, with coaching, it's not that I have the answers. I don't have the answers. I find out from you what it is that would make you calm. Because perhaps, I don't know. Maybe for you, being calm means doing qigong or doing something, going for a walk. Maybe for somebody else, it would mean, reading a book or doing something else. But really find out first, what is it that you want and what is it that you want to do at this particular point. And then we'll try to go and really get clear first on what it is that you want. And then also finding out what you want has a lot to do with your values, right? I mean, if you want something that is, like for you, what is important. If for you something that's important might be, okay, let me say, for you, the important thing is to have a healthy diet. If you want to have a healthy diet, but at the same time, because you're so stressed, you're constantly eating at, fast food restaurants, that's not going to, that doesn't work with your values. So like I said, first you want to get clarity on what it is that you want, and the clarity needs to be based on your values.
I like that. Like, what do you really want? Now, as a speaker, speaking at different conferences over the year, when people always talk to me, they say, I want to change. And again, we always ask them, what do you really want? And guess what, Hannah? 99% of the people say, that's a quite good question. I never thought about what I really want. And many times, like you talk about value, many times we thought that is what we really want, but that's not even our value. That is our parents' value. That is other people's value that instill in us, and we thought that is our value. And no wonder why we procrastinate, because that is not our value, and we don't see the point of doing it. And then we beat ourselves up. Wow, I love that. Getting clarity on what you want and knowing what is your value. That is so important. And knowing what works for you, because everything is so personalized for you. Yeah.
Right. Wow. And when you talk about, very often when you talk about procrastination, we find out that procrastination is actually based on fear, right? Because we want to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So we're overwhelmed and we don't know what to do, and we're not sure where to turn. And then, like you said, we pull back, and sometimes pulling back means procrastination, right? We just don't know where to go. We don't know what to do. And then we say, well, forget it. I can't do anything. So I'm just going to give up and, do something like that. But you're right. A lot of us, and including me, for the longest time, I didn't know what I wanted. In many ways, I still don't know 100% that, what I want, but so, and it's still, it's a journey, right? I'm still finding out each time what it is that I really, really, truly want,
Right. Just like many great leaders say, you never know what is your right path. But then when you take the actions of what means to you right now, the door will open, the path will appear, right? It will always lead you to the right path. I love that. Now, Hannah, as a change maker, having community is critical, because sometimes you could feel lonely. You're alone because people around you don't understand you. People will say that, for God's sake, just get a job already, right? Forget about this change. That's not up to you to do it. Let other people do it. Now, in your experience, how does community play a role in maintaining momentum for change maker and well-being? And how can an individual tap into the support they need when they feel isolated or discouraged?
Right. Well, that's a great question, see. When, community is important, not only for change makers, but I guess for, everybody, because like you said, it's very easy for us to feel isolated and alone. And community, the thing with the the nonprofit world and, all the activist work, it's that sometimes they can be very judgmental because they can say things like, it's like they can say, okay, you happen to be interested in, say, biodiversity, and somebody else is interested in water conservation. And then people get into conflict because they say, well, no, mine is more important and rather than yours. So as a change maker community, there's a lot of infighting already, and that is also really detrimental. So the thing that I guess I'm trying to say is we need to build a community that is much more accepting, that we're all trying to make the world a better place. And yes, maybe, somebody sees it as, saving, some water conservation plans, or somebody else sees it through, saving a particular bird in the Amazon or whatever. But anyway, the point is we're all trying to make it into a better world. And the thing that again helps the individual be much more accepting is once they really, really know their own values. So if they know their own values, they'll be strong in their own conviction, and they can hear other people's opinions without necessarily being pulled into all these different directions, and without getting upset if somebody says, this is more important, and how dare you be, how dare you feel that my thing is not as important as yours. So the main thing is you need to first of all be clear with yourself, but then in order for you to get that is you need to, like you said, try to form community with other people and try to find mentors. There are some people who've been doing this a long time, who've been protesting and fighting for justice for a long time. Try to see if you can get some guidance from them and see how they manage to stay the course for so long. And, the other thing is, like I said, once you yourself become very calm within yourself with your own purpose, then you can also be much more open and willing to accept other people. And finding community, like I said, finding community would be maybe finding groups. And you can start your own group. That's the other thing. Start your own group. See if there are other people who want to talk about, who want to be honest and say, you know what, I'm really burned out. And maybe they can come get together. Also, I would say, and I know this sounds like, this is very much like almost like this is self-promotion, right? But do call on coaches or other people that you feel could help you, and see if you can connect with them.
Right. Yes. And it's what I hear is inclusion, honor each other differences, and accepting each other and respect each other. Know your value. There's
Right,
nothing to fight, because what we're doing is we're trying to contribute to a better world.
right,
Now, like Hanna, you said, look for coaches, mentor. There are lots of coaches out there, but to know a coach, a mentor that did the same work that you did before is hard. And we are so lucky to have Hanna. If you're a change maker and you're looking for a coach, Hanna is the girl for you. She's a coach, she's a life coach. She will help you because she experienced that before. The burnout, the frustrations, the lack of support. And Hanna is your girl. Now, Hanna, for our audience who want to learn more about your coaching program, how they can get started if they're feeling overwhelmed and stuck, how can they reach out to you and where can they find you?
Okay, well, thank you, C. Thank you. I do have a website, and it's called pathtoimpactcoaching.com. And if you click on one of the links there, you could just email me, and I'd be more than happy to help you just get clarity on what it is that you want, and we could talk about whether or not you'd like to continue coaching with me. Again, that like I said, that's the website, and you could just find me via email that way, or you could look me up on LinkedIn or Facebook and just send me a message.
Now, as we come to the end, Hanna, do you have any last word of wisdom for our audience?
Well, first off, let me just tell you, thank you so much, C, because like I said, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for being so generous. See, I would say that what you're doing is exactly what I was talking about. You're trying to build a community, and you're building a community, and like you're including so many different people. So that, I would say the main thing is building a community, and really, really for yourself, try to make sure that you get clear on what it is that you want. And sometimes stepping back is not a bad thing. And finally, if you get to be so overwhelmed and so upset, try just doing some tapping, very easy tapping, and not much. You don't have to say anything. You can just tap, and you know that eventually, maybe within, say, 5-10 minutes, you should be able to be a little bit calmer. And then once your head is clear, you'll be able to make the next decision, the best decision for you.
Right. So what I hear is slow down to accelerate, right? And as many people say, do not make any decision when you're emotional. All right, I really love this time with Hanna. If you are inspired by this conversation and want to take the next step in your journey, I invite you to message and contact Hanna, or drop me a private message, or drop us a comment below. And I will see you in our next session, where we will have another special guest to come on. Together, we empower and embrace our potential and create the extraordinary life. I'll see you soon. Thank you,
Steve.
Hanna.
Bye-bye. Thank you.